So let's make things more interesting by talking about tools and tool settings. What are tools? Tools are, another word for tools is instruments. Let's say if you are a carpenter, you have a chainsaw or you have a hammer, right? These are your tools. You work, you use them to do different things with your raw material. For example, wood. Yeah, you use wood to make something, to make some beautiful, I don't know, decoration or anything. So we use tools, and this thing is our raw material. Like, this is our wood. We use different tools right here and do something to this wood, right, to this box. It's actually called mesh object. We might change it. We want to change it to make some cool things, right? A beautiful car, or maybe even a creature, a dragon, anything we can imagine. Yeah, we can make by using different tools. And tools can have some settings. For example, you want to maybe sharpen your chainsaw, or maybe you want to change its teeth, right? Or you might want to change the head of your hammer to meet your needs, right? Just like this, tools in Blender has options or parameters that you can change to change a little things about these tools, right? Let's get started. The first tool here is select tool, right? Select tool. And if you look closely, there is a little arrow on the corner, and it means if you press and hold, you can see more options, right? By default, we have select box. Now let me quickly show the settings. Where can you find the settings of each tool? There is one place which is called tool settings. It's right here, right? Whatever tool you choose, you have the options for this tool changes. There is not much, a lot of options here. It depends on what tool you're using, and it changes a lot. There is another place where you can see tool settings. If you remember, I turned them off. Tool settings, and they're here. You can find tool settings. They are exactly the same things. And there is one more place. I don't know why they're all over the place. If you call sidebar by pressing N, actually I need to turn on my screencast add-on. If you press this, you have tool here, and you have the same options here too, like for example orientation drag options, and if you turn this on, you have the same things here here. So these are tool settings. Whenever you work with different tools, because Blender is a 3D software package, you use different tools to make different things, right? Whenever you use some tools, if you want to change anything about this tool, you can come here and change whatever you want. And remember this icon, okay? So let's get started what each tool, to know about what each tool does what. So select tool, it's obvious, you select things. Box select, the first thing is box select. It's obvious what it does. The next one is tweak. Yeah, tweak is interesting. You click and drag to change the position of anything you want. Let's move it back by pressing Alt G. So, and the next one is circle. Circle is like rectangle or box select. It's just circle. And you can make this circle bigger by changing its settings, radius for example, and you can select more things. And we can go to next. Lasso, it's just like Photoshop. You can draw a shape and select whatever inside. Okay, the most common is select box. Let's go with that. And next is 3D cursor. 3D cursor is a new concept for you now. 3D cursor is this little thing in the middle. It's not something of this object. Let's choose select, and let's choose this and press delete to delete it, and you still have this. This is 3D cursor. This is its tool. If you choose 3D cursor tool and if you click somewhere, the cursor goes there, right? And let's call N sidebar, and if you go to view menu, you have lots of different options, and you have 3D cursor option here, and you can change its location right here. You can change everything to 0 and it goes back to the center of the world. This is 3D cursor, and you can also change its position by pressing shift and right click, not left, right click, and you can just change its position without coming to this, without choosing this cursor tool. Okay, but please do not choose cursor and try to select something, because you can't, and many beginners find this difficult and confusing from time to time. Why am I not able to choose anything? What is this thing? Because they accidentally chose cursor tool. And another one more way to bring it back to its position, original position, the center of the world, is by pressing shift and C on your keyboard. Let's bring back our cube by add, mesh, and cube. Remember, this is our wood. We are carpenters, and we use different tools to make cool things with our raw material, with wood. And its official name is mesh object. Object, mesh. Add mesh objects. So this is the most common object that we use in 3D. Now, let's move to the next category. These tools are translation or transform tools. You transform or translate your object with these things. The three very commons are move tool and rotate tool. With move, you move objects, right? With rotate, you rotate, and with scale, you change the size, you scale your object. Let's choose move tool, and it's obvious what it does, right? It moves, and you have three directions. This is why we call it 3D, 3-dimension, 3-direction. Okay, and let's quickly talk about these three directions. This is Y direction, Y-axis. This is X-axis, and there is one more invisible axis, the Z-axis. It's blue, and the colors never change. Red always corresponds to X, and green Y, and blue Z. We actually can turn on Z-axis too, like this, but let's hide it now. So this is move tool, click and drag and move. Now bring it back by Alt-G. So now Blender is very cool when it comes to using shortcuts. Actually, you might never use these tools to translate objects, because you have shortcuts, you have key combinations to use. Okay, so before that, I want to talk about these little rectangles. They simply move the object in two axes, and they exclude one axis. Okay, you might need to use it. But to move your object, actually, we have a very good shortcut called letter G. It's not called, it's just letter G. You press G on your keyboard and you just move your cursor, move your mouse, and that's it. You can move your object wherever you want. And if you want to be precise, and if you want to move your object along one axis, you just press G and press the letter to that axis. For example, G and Y. We move it along Y axis. G and X along X axis. And G, Z along Z axis. We have some more options here, for example, but when you're dragging and when you're moving, yeah, for example, let's GX and move it along x-axis. But if you want to be even precise, you can press and hold shift while you're moving, and you move in very small increments, and it can be useful from time to time. Actually, it's very useful. And you can also do something else, GX, and press Control to snap or to move your object by bigger increments. Actually, in this case, we are moving it by 1 meter each time. Okay, GX, and press and hold Control. You are moving them by 1 meter. These little squares are 1 meter square. Okay, bring back by Alt G. Now Alt G is making sense. If you remember, I'm pressing Alt G to bring it to the world center, yeah, to this position, Alt G, because G moves your object and Alt G clears that movement, yeah, clears the history of the movement and bring it back to the original position of the object. Okay. So this is it. We might introduce new options along the way, but for now that's more than enough. Next one is rotate tool. You can rotate your objects. It's obvious. You still have those three lines, those three colors, and corresponding three axes. Okay, along x-axis, along y-axis, and along z-axis. You can turn them along these axes. Okay. And you might guess how we bring it back to its original rotation by you don't know it because I haven't introduced the letter for rotation. It's R. It's R. R for rotation, G for movement. Why G for movement? G actually means grabbing something somewhere, right? So R for rotation. And you know, Alt R brings back to its original rotation state. Now, and the next thing is scale. And remember, with rotation, you still have the option to press Shift and move with small increments, and RX, for example, and press Control and hold to snap it in each 5 degrees, okay, or to rotate it by 5 degrees each time. Okay, next we have scale along any axis, right, these, and Alt S, because S is for scale, and SX, for example, SY along different axes, and you still have S shift, S, for example, SX, and you press Shift to be more precise, and SX, for example, and press and hold Control to scale by increments. Okay, next is all-in-one. We don't need that now. So these are the translation tools, and they're very handy. You use them all the time. Now, there is one more place where you can change these things even more precisely. It's in two places, actually. You can come here and you can come to sidebar by pressing N, and you can come to item menu, and you have this transform area, and you can even see the dimension of your object, yeah? 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters, it's 2 meters cube, yeah? And you have these location, rotation, and scale numbers, and you can exactly, you can move your object exactly to maybe, I don't know, 4.728 or anything, and it goes exactly there, okay? And you can even bring it back to 0, and you can click here and change to whatever number. And you can one good thing is this, there are some cool things you can do here. For example, you can click and drag down to change all three at the same time, and I'm still holding the click, and you can move your mouse right or left to change its position at the same time. It works everywhere in Blender, everywhere whenever you have some numbers, right? Like wherever you have some numbers. So, and it works everywhere. So, and one more very cool thing is this: if you changed it in to different numbers, and you quickly want to go back to 0, you just hover your cursor over here and press the backspace on your keyboard, and it immediately goes back to 0. Everything immediately goes back to 0. So these are cool things you can do here with numbers, okay? And you can change everything here. And the second place where you can find these parameters is here, object properties. You can find them here too. And to close this. So, and the next tool is pencil tool. Annotate tool in Blender. It's called annotate tool. I'm sorry, I think I changed it to something else. Press and hold to change it back to annotate, and you can draw anything you want here, right? So by default, it draws along the cursor, okay? Wherever I draw, if I turn, it draws along this cursor. And how do you remove them? How do you erase them? You have eraser tool. If you press and hold, you have eraser, you can erase. Or you can quickly erase by coming one surprising thing is this. You come here and you don't find any option to delete it completely, remove it completely. But if you turn this tool settings on, or let me show you, annotate tool, you don't have this remove thing option here, but here and here in tool settings, all of them are tool settings, this place, and this place, and you can see they have common things, placement, drag radius and things, and placement, everything here. But to my surprise, we don't have this option here. We have here and here, but we don't have this here, because it is something useful. For example, you can change the color of your lines, and you can even remove it completely, or change the opacity or thickness, right, of your lines. And you can even remove, and you can create some new layers. I don't know why this option is not included here, but only for this annotation tool. But in many other tools, everything is the same everywhere. So yeah, remember, if you want to remove your annotation, you can either come here or call this sidebar and remove it from here. You can find this option here. So we have annotate tool to draw freely, annotate line to draw lines, and polygon click, and it draws for you. And let's remove that. So there are some things that needs extra work, I think, in Blender. Some little things. So and in annotation tool has one thing that I want to talk about is this. By default, it draws along this cursor, right, like I told you, but you can change this. For example, if you want to change it to view from here, you can draw somewhere. For example, okay, I don't know, terrible writing. Example, for example, you just turn around and it never changed, because you are writing to view from viewport, and it always shows you. And you can even draw on the surface of objects. For example, on the box, I draw it here, and you can see it's on the surface. I draw here, and it's on the surface. So that's one good thing about annotation tool. The next one is the measure tool. You can by this you can measure distance. You can get the overall idea of the distance. For example, let's say how long is this, look at from the top, how long is this distance. Yeah, let's click and drag and see it's 30 meters. Yeah, 30. So each of them are 10 meters, so one of them is 1 meter square. You can get the idea. You can even be precise. For example, with this measure tool, remember control key, you can press control and snap one end to one place and the other end to another place. And you can do one more thing. If you come here, your cursor turns to plus, and you can change, you can drag the middle, and you can change the angle and press control to snap and come here, and this is 45 degrees. Just like this, you can measure. Don't forget control key. Press control and hold it to snap some ends of your measurement tool to some vertices. Let's remove this. Removing can be a bit difficult because you want to come here until your cursor changes to this icon and press delete and come here. You cannot sometimes delete it. Sometimes it can be tricky. Okay, so the next one is something new in Blender. I think it's from software like 3ds Max. It's for creating new objects. Okay, it's a little cool thing, and you can change some options here. We're not going to touch it so often because the only thing they do is create primitive objects, so we might not use it very often. So choose them, select them, and delete them. These are the tools here in Blender, but don't worry. You might ask, is that all that we can use in Blender? No, there are so many more tools that are hidden. The choice of tools depends on what you want to do. Okay, the tools that are shown here depends on what you are doing, and to be more precise, in what mode you are in. We are now in object mode, that we are only dealing with objects, different objects, camera, and we are just moving them around or putting them together and changing their position, rotate them a little. We are just working with objects. We are not building anything. We are not in edit mode or in modeling mode. You can change the work mode from here, and you can see a lot more tools. But I don't know why, but you have this thing. You must not be confused by this. You cannot sometimes change work modes if you have selected the wrong object. I mean, work modes depends on the object that you have selected. For example, Blender is clever that if you select camera, Blender knows you cannot build anything from this camera. You cannot, for example, make a house with cameras. So it doesn't show you any other mode. It's an object, and you can only do what you do to objects, right? You cannot build anything with this. You cannot model with cameras, right? It's not logical. But if you select this box, remember, this is our wood. We can carve it, we can change the shape, we can make it a monkey, anything. So if you select this object, this is our raw material, this is our wood, and we can work on them in different modes, right? And select this, and you can change the modes, and if you change it to different mode, boom, you can have many more instruments, tools that you can work with, right? I will introduce each tool to you, and I will show you each of them, what each of them does, because they are really cool. You can create a lot of things, and you can make a lot of interesting things with them, create objects and do different stuff. Yeah, So we will talk about these things later. And for example, if you change to sculpt mode, you have a lot more tools, different tools. So it depends on what you want to do. So I will introduce you to almost all of these tools in Blender, and you will see you have more tools than enough, more tools than you ever need, okay, in Blender to make anything, to make them beautiful, to make them look cool.